fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Sometimes you just got to lick the stamp and send it.
I don't know what happened on there. I just plucked her in first, gave some gentle. Fuck yeah.
You are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a care that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
We go green for 40 minutes of racing around Monza.
Oh, defense by Ethan Grigault just getting so punchy.
And a brilliant getaway already from Josh Rogers.
Two pro drivers going at it here between Dylan O'Keefe and Nick Foster.
Stanaway's demoted to third. Webster wins week 9 here at Sebring through the final corner. That's a huge slide for Cooper Murray. Just trying to barge their way through, and that's whoa. That's a merry-go-round for Nick Burkett. Campbell, Paolo Gaon, and Ferraris behind. Glenn Wood actually was flipped into the barriers. One of the most exciting pirouettes I've seen in quite some time. That's Van Gisbergen, and his day is done. Tell you what, if Calvin wins this race, I wouldn't be surprised. He's all four wheels up the racetrack. Wow, but he just saves it on the apex.
Contact almost made, side by side through the elevation change, and Scotty McLaughlin had the move done, but he got over the crest. And
What a send!
Dylan O'Keefe sends it up the inside, can't do anything with it.
Shane Van Gisbergen already on the attack.
It begins and sending has begun.
And it's going to be a drag race to the line. Tuesday night is rapidly becoming a night to lick the stamp. Send it.
Oh, I forgot I was helping commentate here. I was just sitting back in my jocks and
It's that time of the week again. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the night when the biggest and best names of the real life and virtual motorsport worlds come together. Spectators from right around the globe religiously tune in, and commentators put off going to the gym so they can call all the action. That's right, everyone. It's that night where, for the final time in 2019, we all channel our inner Daniel Ricciardo, lick the stamp, and send it. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lockie Mansell. Welcome to Week 4, Season 2 of the Just Send It iRacing series. This week, we head to the very underrated Okayama circuit, a track with some technical sections and several good overtaking opportunities. And our drivers tonight will be piloting one of the finest examples of machinery from the three-pointed star. It's the Mercedes AMG GT3. Joining me in commentary tonight, he says he's retired, but we keep finding ways to drag him back behind the microphone. Very good evening to Jay Kennedy. How are you going, Jay?
Yeah, very good. It's very, very hot in the comms box here, but it's going to be an awesome night of racing. Tweaking the format tonight as well to make it a little bit more exciting and put a little bit more pressure on some of the drivers with a second qualifying session. And a lot of the drivers didn't know that was happening up until about 4 or 5 minutes ago. So pressure is just mounted on quite a few drivers who are just coming in for a bit of fun. Might have to try and lick the stamp in qualifying. We've got around about 60 cars as well in qualifying. Finding space in that session is going to be very, very tough, but it's going to be great to watch.
So just to elaborate on the format, so typically what we've had for Just Send It for this second season is we've had a twin race format where the drivers have gone out, they've qualified, the top 55 cars have made it into the first race. Then we've had a second race which has featured a reverse grid format. Tonight though, it's a little bit different. Once again, all of the drivers will go out qualifying. The top 55 or 60 drivers will progress through to the main race. But then, as Jay mentioned, we'll have another qualifying session which will set the grid for the main race. And tonight it'll be just a single 30-minute race. So it will place an emphasis very much on qualifying. And like you say, Jay, a couple of big challenges. The main one being traffic management, because with 60 cars in the field, not going to be a lot of space out there to put a clear lap together.
The big thing too with GT cars is the tyres take a little bit to get up to temp, so the first lap is not usually your quickest. It usually takes 2 or 3 laps to get the heat in the tyres and get it going. So managing that as well is going to be a huge issue for some of these drivers as we get ready to go. 15 minutes to get a qualifying lap in is not going to be very long, and there's already action in the pits as drivers almost come together.
Well, 15 minutes, it might sound like a decent amount of time, but by the time you go out, you do an out lap, you get yourself some cleared track, you get the tyres up to temperature, it doesn't leave a lot of time. And if you have an incident or if you have a problem during the session, you have to come back to the pits, you have to repeat the process all over again, and it very quickly eats into that 15 minutes.
Another thing too with iRacing's automated penalty system, if you run off the circuit at any point, that invalidates your lap time. So it's really key to keep your car on the circuit within the white lines, not cut the corners, not be too aggressive, just understanding the right limit of the cars. A few drivers are already starting to work out a little bit of space. Some other drivers probably a little bit too close and a little bit, they're going to struggle a little bit with how to space themselves out and get a qualifying lap in. As you can see, Jackson, Susan and Harlow already trying to get through the field to get to the front to get this qualifying run in.
I'm going to need you to keep me up to date on what the lap times are, because unfortunately I'm having a couple of little timing issues at my end. So just try and resolve those while I can. Timing broadcast. Gotta love a few technical issues. I think my computer gear has decided that it is Christmas time and it's going to go on holidays and it's not going to cooperate to make my job easy tonight.
Alright, we should hopefully have a lot of the timing up on screen as Cody Bircher, the first driver out, will set the first lap time, because the finish line is actually at pit exit, so as you leave the pit lane it does register a lap time. But Bircher will be the first car out, so he'll be the first actual legitimate time. Looking around about 1 minute 25, 1 minute 26 lap times. If you can get into the 25s, you will be right at the podium. We saw in the first session, the pre-qualifying run, or the run to get into this main event. Josh Rogers did a 25.1. That was the main time, or the fastest time. So that's the mark that drivers will be looking at. But I think if you can get into the 25s, you'll find yourself in a pretty good spot. You'll see a lot of drivers in around the 1 minute 26 bracket.
Cody Birch was one of the drivers who scored a race victory in the first season of Just Send It, watching on screen at the moment as he negotiates his way into turns 8 and 9. It's a very technical circuit, as I mentioned, with a good mixture of quite slow speed corners that do create plenty of opportunities for overtaking. So watch out for some big sends tonight, and here is Birch negotiating his way through the final 2 corners on the racetrack to complete the flying lap around the Okayama circuit.
You make a fairly big mistake there too, so the lap time won't be that great. Just behind is Ross Rizzo. He'll probably take pole on that first run, and there it is. So confirmed. We'll see who changes the times throughout the field. We've got Benjamin Smith out there on track. How's this for commitment though? Justin Rougier, his wife had a baby this morning. He's out there racing tonight. That's commitment. I'm not going to say too much more than that, because I could get Justin in trouble.
Good to see him out there. A few other names in the field to watch out for. Brody Kostecki, who has recently been confirmed as an endurance driver for the Erebus Motorsport Supercars team. He'll be driving alongside Anton De Pasquale for next year's Supercars endurance races at the Taylor Bend 500, the Bathurst 1000 and the Gold Coast 600. So good to have Brody Kostecki in the field tonight. And we've talked about the diversity of different drivers that have won races. So in the first season of Just Send It, we saw that there were 10 different race winners from the 12 races. So far, we've had 6 races in the Just Send It series, with 2 each week, and 6 different winners. Wayne Burke, Mia Ott, Luca Giacomin, Justin Rougier, Blake Purdy and Brenton Hobson have all achieved success so far this season.
Awesome that we've had so many different winners as well. Over the 2 seasons, we've only had a couple of multiple winners, so it's been really cool to see. It's a huge mistake just behind us. We're watching Paddy Archie come through turn 8. Coming down to turn 7, I'm not sure who that was. It almost looped it around. They just held control of the car. It's a 76 car it was there. So that is Emerson Harvey. A huge mistake. He's been doing pretty well throughout Just Senate as Emerson Harvey. He finds himself moving forward pretty much each race that he's out on track. He usually one of those drivers that gains positions in pretty much every race.
Josh Rogers yet to set a lap time in this session, so he needs to get a move on here. At the moment, it's Louis Paul O'Gowan who sits atop the timesheets with the best time for 1 minute 25.6. Jackson Susan Harlow currently second on a 25.8. 25.8 as well for Cooper Webster. 25.9 for Wayne Burke and a 26.1 for Justin Brugier. So about half a second separating the top 5 cars with 9 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this session.
Cooper Webster on screen even. Currently position 3. No stranger to the pointy end in this series. Does improve on that lap, gains a 10th. Will gain a spot ahead of Jackson Susan Harlow. So Cooper Webster up into second.
And immediately pulls off having completed that lap. Had a good run in the XL Enduros down at Winton a couple of weeks ago where he actually picked up a race victory in one of the races. So he goes well in sim racing, but he goes pretty well in real life too. Cooper Webster, good to see him out there on the track this evening.
I've told you about this magical thing that happens. Have a look at who's in position 6 right now.
Brenton Hobson.
I told you it happens. It happens so often that Brenton Hobson finds himself in 6. So Hobbo continuing the meme, the big number 6 on the windscreen there, you can see in 6th position. Goes around through the back hairpin down the long straight. Hobbo probably be streaming as well, so hello to all the Hobbo's viewers. Driver that's also very, very consistent, loves a good battle, does Brenton Hobson, so he'll be one to watch in this race tonight as well.
However, he did get a win last week, so that was a good effort for him in the reverse grid legend car race at Phillip Island. Now, we don't have an official championship point score for Just Send It because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the series, which is for everybody to go out and have a bit of fun, but I still haven't been able to help myself. And I have put together a hypothetical championship point score which would award the top 30 finishing positions in each race with points, and if we were to run that point score, it would be Blake Purdy who would be leading the standings ahead of Brenton Hobson and Brad Newman.
On that as well, last season I believe it was Cooper Webster from Andrew Collins from memory.
And it was actually the other way around.
Oh, the other way around. Well, Andrew Collins was so consistent last season, no surprise.
Correct. He didn't win any races, Andrew Collins, but he had 3 podium finishes and he finished 9 out of the 12 races inside the top 10. So he ended up with, in the final analysis, a fairly commanding points margin over Cooper Webster and the rest of the field.
Jackson Susan Harlow was on a lap, but he's just pulled it aside to give himself a little bit more space. So I might actually jump on board with Jackson Susan Harlow and get a bit of a feel for this circuit because it is a very technical circuit, as you said. Of course, former Formula One venue. Hard to believe though that the Formula One races here were 24 and 25 years ago. That doesn't feel right. It feels like it was only maybe 7 or 8 years ago that the Pacific Grand Prix was held at this circuit.
So Susan Harlow negotiating his way through turn number 1, which runs off camber on the exit, so that can actually unsettle the car as you exit that corner. Turn number 2 is a left-hander. Then we head into this section, which is called the Moss S's. It's actually 2 corners, but officially it's only counted as 1. And then this right-hander here at turn 4, which leads onto the back straight. You head uphill. It's a late apex. You want to get on the power as early as you possibly can. And at the end of the back straight, turn number 5, the hairpin, is probably one of the main overtaking opportunities, you would have to say, because it's a big braking zone coming off the back of quite a long straight into a very tight right-hander.
That straight as well, doing around about 240, 245 if you've got draft, so definitely the best overtaking spot as Susan Harlow runs wide, and that'll invalidate the lap time. As we said, you can't run off the circuit in iRacing because it does invalidate the lap time. Justin Rugier is on a flying lap. We'll see what he can do out there. As big congratulations to his wife and 2 children out there. So awesome that Justin's made it out on track, but yeah, we better not say too much because we will get in trouble. Just seen John Emerson has moved up into 6th position, and I do believe that Josh Rogers has been penalised for being too quick and will have to start at the back of the field.
I love it. What other series would give out penalties to drivers for being too quick? That's fantastic. So that'll be entertaining watching Josh Rogers coming charging through from the rear of the field.
We also saw the race in Silverstone. We saw Jared Fieldstale get a penalty for the same thing. So it's not unprecedented to give out a penalty. Of course, Road Atlanta last season, the Ferrari, he lost the win because they took it off him because he was too quick. So no surprises. Rougier does go faster and will gain a spot. No, didn't go faster. Sorry, just a little bit slower.
Also, one of the regular members of our SimSpeed TV commentary team, Reece Gardner, who was the man behind the Max Bant's ridiculous race formats that we have every 13 weeks, he decided to actually have a race tonight, and he was worried about not making it into the top split today in the main race, but I'll tell you what, he's just outside the top 10, currently sitting in position 11.
And he only needs 200ths of a second to get himself back into the top 10. That's how close it is in that little area around 8th, 9th, 10th. Down to, say, Brad Newman. Brad Newman's in 17th position. If he can find a 10th, he'll get himself into 11th position. That's 6 spots for a 10th of a second. That is so close back in that section of the field.
And that means that it's going to be really tight competitive racing once we do get into the race as well. Watching Reece Gardner, I'll tell you what, he's got some imagination. Some of the race formats that he's come up with for those Max Bant's races. There was the most recent one, which was giving everybody half a tank of fuel and seeing how far they could go. There was another one which I saw briefly, which looks like the car racing version of musical statues, where when the music stopped, you had to go below the yellow line, and the last one to do so was out. And there was another one that he came up with where if you had any incident whatsoever, you got disqualified.
Which our very, very good friend Bo Albert won that race. So we actually had drivers in that race that didn't make it off the start line because someone else had stalled and ran into them. So that was their race over before they'd even crossed the start line. So that was incredible. That was in the Lotus 49, so the 1960s Lotus Formula One car. Imagine driving that and not getting an incident. It lasted nearly an hour, that race as well, before before everyone was out of that race. So incredible to think that nobody cut the course through Eau Rouge and Raidillon at Spa in the Lotus. But 2 minutes left in qualifying. Lewis Paulo-Gallon looks pretty strong at the front. Cooper Webster, I think, is going to be the one to watch, as he's just about to finish a lap. No, he's just abandoned that lap and going to have one last run. Jackson Susan Harlow not able to improve as he starts another flyer. At the front of the field, it is pretty tight. Andrew Collins might be a big improver here, though.
Cooper Webster was looking for some clear track there. He's tantalisingly close. He only needs to find 0.13 of a second to grab pole position. And here is Cooper Webster. He's got himself a bit of clear track. He's got 1 minute and 45 seconds to put something together, so he might actually get 2 more flying laps out of this if he times it properly.
Some of our bigger name drivers a little bit further back in the field. We've got Paddy Archie back in 49th at the moment. We've got George Gutierrez in 44th position. Who else have we got in the field? Emerson Harvey back in 33rd. Ben McClellan in 31st. Steve, have a look at this. 14th and 15th on the grid at the moment, though.
Mitchell McLeod and Steve Owen.
How's that for a rivalry together?
We know that there's no love lost between those two drivers. It's like the sim racing version of Greg Murphy and Marcus Ambrose, or Mark Scafer and Russell Ingall, having those guys together.
So it's going to be fun to watch those. So I think we need the camera just focused on those two drivers throughout this next race in just a few moments' time. This lap has looked pretty clean from Cooper Webster on the onboard here, so Webster might move up the field a little bit.
Hopefully he doesn't get held up and all by that Vodafone livery car, which is just ahead. Looks like he's going to be able to complete the lap cleanly. And if anything, he might actually get a bit of help from the slipstream here on the main straight, Cooper Webster. Let's see what the lap time is like as he comes across the line.
No improvement. Very close though, he missed out by a tenth. Well, you'll have one last crack, as you said, only 10 seconds left on the clock. Other drivers just finishing laps. Wayne Burke in 4th position at the moment. Got a little bit of draft. Checkered flag flies. See if he can improve on this lap. That's a weird looking livery he's got. He's actually says taxi on the top with the yellow taxi logo. Different. Other taxi behind there too in Justin Howe's car. Is that for a taxi? 1-3 cent. That's what we want to see.
Where does it take you to, I wonder, if you jump on board?
Oh, who'd know? I've heard about these fake taxi things, but I haven't seen them, so I don't know what they do. Not going to go there, actually. We'll stay out of that. Brendan Hobson's moved up into 5th position. We've missed that. He's on another lap and still going, so he could improve here too. Go up even higher. Only needs to find a tenth of a second. Does Brendan Hobson? He won't do it. The track may have gone away a little bit as it's gotten a little bit warmer. Track temp has actually gone up over the last little bit. Mitchell McLeod has just improved to 13th. Still a few drivers out on track. But Nick De Silva, big moment there.
Well, Mitchell McLeod's put some cars between himself and Steve Owen because Steve Owen switched down to 17th position. There's some good quality among the top runners there. We've got some very, very accomplished drivers there in the top 10 or 11 positions. So I think this format where we just have a flat-out race for 30 minutes without any pit stops or reverse grids is going to be an interesting one. Louis Paul O'Gullen gets pole position. Cooper Webster just over a tenth of a second behind. He will join Paul O'Gullen on the front row. Jackson Suzlin Harlow out of 3rd spot. Back to Wayne Burke in position number 4. He's already had a race win in Just Send It this season. Brendan Hobson, another driver who's been a race winner this season, out of 5th spot. And then it's Bailey Sweeney, Justin Ruggier, John Emerson, Andrew Collins, and Ross Rizzo rounding out the top 10. So in those top 10 positions, we do have 3 drivers who have won races this season in Just Send It.
And Andrew Collins has been so close to winning how many races throughout this as well. And Bailey Sweeney, that's a good qualifying job from him. Cody Bircher in 11th. Reece Gardner will be happy with 12th. Mitchell McLeod in 13th. Set a little bit of a gap back to Steve Owen, who's 17th. With Zach Bates, Ben McClellan and Job Stewart ahead of Owen. And then Simon Armit, Brad Newman and Michael Healy rounding out the top 20 drivers.
Watch out for the likes of Cody Birch's come on through the field. Lee Ellis will be 21st on the grid, followed by Benjamin Smith, Dylan Carroll, Aaron Hindle, then Thomas McMillan, David Baz. Aaron Borg, the Toyota 86 Series champion for 2019, goes from 27th on the grid back to Bradley Sanders, Glenn Sarah and Jonathan Bykoff rounding out your top 30.
Nick De Silva in 31st with Trent Bowles alongside on that 16th row. Emerson Harvey a little bit further back than he would like to be from 33rd position. He'll have to work his way forward there. Mitchell Wiley next, and we've got Phil Munnelly, Stina Nazarak, Dane Pearce, Tyler Howard, Shane Witt, and then Paul Nichols rounds out the top 40 drivers.
It's a big field, this one, as it always is for Just Send It. Techstar McCoy in 41st position, Dave Trevethan out of 42nd. Glenn Morris in 43rd, another Toyota 86 Series driver. George Gutierrez starts out of position number 44. Ashley Ruskin in 45th position, back to Jeffrey Price. Sam Christensen, Brenton West, Devarshan Padiachi, the Porsche Carrera Cup pilot, in 49th spot. And then we go back to Reese Lowe out of position 50.
Drivers that had a bit of bad luck or were penalised before they even got out on track. There's Claver and Hen on the 26th row with Hammond, Lowe, Rogers, Black and Potatoes. I've got that way wrong, but that's the 57 drivers.
Botiatis, I think you'll find it's pronounced.
Much better than me. We get ready to go. The cars start to pull away. We get ready for what will be one of the most exciting races we have in this series.
So I'd have to say that Josh Rogers is the short-priced favourite for the Best Postman award for the week, given that he's starting way back in the field and we know that he's fast.
He would have to be the favourite for this as cars start to pull away, and the iRacing Porsche safety car is ready to get us going. Going to be an exciting race though. I think we might see a bit of chaos at turn 1, but Lewis Paulo Gallen goes early. Would be an interesting battle here.
Puts his foot down straight away, Paulo Gallen, and takes the lead ahead of Cooper Webster as they run down. You can already see drivers moving to the inside of the circuit. Side-by-side action down into turn number 1. It's a massive field of cars that have to file through that corner. Let's hope we don't get any pile-ups of this opening lap. A little bit wide there for our leader, Paulo Gallen. Here's the tail end of the field, still negotiating their way through turn number 1. The race leaders are already down at turn 4, so I think it's your understanding of just how massive the field is. And we've already got some dramas with a couple of cars coming together at turn number 4, veering off into the gravel trap.
I reckon that was Andrew Collins, the driver that we saw was involved there, yeah. So the 24 car, oh, there's a huge wreck on the back straight. There's a car upside down. Lee Ellis is involved in that one. There's another car involved as well, Glenn Sarah, and there's even more cars upside down. We'll try and get some replays in a moment, but that is a huge, huge incident.
So just coming out of turn number 4 there, onto the back straight, there were cars running side by side through that part of the track. And unfortunately, if you're a little bit further back in the pack, you don't really have a lot of options or anywhere to go as we check out our just send replay. So this is looking back towards turn number 1. The lead pack managed to get out of turn 4 okay. It was that drama involving Andrew Collins as they made the right-hand turn onto the back straight, which is where the drama started. There you can see it. Andrew Collins having contact with one other car. That was the blue car there to the left of
that
shot.
was Cody Bircher, actually.
And then as Andrew Collins has got back onto the circuit, you actually have to look a bit further back to find out where that big pile-up started. Here we go, it's already started at this point. I would suggest there, Jay, that was possibly created by Andrew Collins coming back onto the circuit, having gone off the road.
Every possibility of that. Not 100% sure if we're going to be able to see who it was. Aaron Borg was involved in that. We'll see if we can pick up what's happened with him. May have been the car that was flying upside down there. No, he already had smoke coming out of his engine at that point, so not going to be able to find it. We'll try and get a replay post-race, see if we can dissect that a little bit better. But Lewis Paulo Gallen maintains the lead of this race. Cooper Webster is giving him a little bit of pressure. There's Wayne Burke looking strong as well at the front.
Good to say that most of the top runners have been able to escape all of that chaos that we saw on lap number 1 without too much damage. Jackson Susel and Harlow still sitting there in 3rd position as well, just ahead of Wayne Burke. And then it's a freight train of cars. Brenton Hobson in there, Bailey Sweeney, Justin Rugier, Ross Rizzo, John Emerson and Reece Gardner up into the top 10 as well. Steve Owen and Job Stewart, they've both made good progress. They're up 5 spots. Looking a bit further back to see some of the drivers who might have been involved in that carnage that we had on the opening lap. Michael Healy, well, he's down 23 positions. Lee Ellis is down 26. Aaron Borg, Devarshan Padiachi, George Gutierrez all back in the pits at this stage. And Josh Rogers, we knew that he was going to be strong at making up positions. He's already come up 22 spots. He's up to 33rd spot after starting 55th.
That's an incredible start for Josh Rogers, and look at the battle pack that he's in the middle there. As he starts to manoeuvre his way through the field, he's just in behind Andrew Collins, who started right up the front. So he started in the 9th position, I believe. So he's dropped a long way down, and here comes Rogers. A little bit of a hip and shoulder to Andrew Collins. Collins will let him have the spot. I think Collins was thinking about giving him a little touch back there, but thought, hang on, this is Josh Rogers. He'll just fly away on me anyway, so there's no point battling too hard.
The smart thing to do here for Andrew Collins might be just to tuck in behind Josh Rogers and try and follow him through the field, but Collins instead is going to lose a spot as the driver who was just behind him on the racetrack comes diving up the inside at a great rate of knots.
And he just got served back as well. That was Tyler Howard, and there was a fair bit going on there, and having some issues with our on-screen timing, so my apologies for that.
What we can tell you on the official timing is that Paul O'Gallen continues to lead the race by 0.86 of a second from Cooper Webster. So the margin just starting to stabilise as Paul O'Gallen runs extremely wide as they head up into the Moss S's at turn number 3. Such a committed part of the racetrack through there. It's part of the circuit where the aero on these Mercedes GT cars is really working its absolute hardest to keep the car planted on the ground. Ross Rizzo and Justin Rougier going side by side. This is the battle for 7th and 8th positions. Rizzo got a run down the inside of Rougier at turn 4, but Rougier with the wider exit line got the better drive out of the corner. They'll still be side by side when they get to turn 5, the hairpin. Rizzo down the outside, Rougier hanging tough on the outside. Rougier now has the inside for the next corner, but Rizzo will try and do the switchback. This is a good contest between these drivers, and Wayne Burke has gone off the road. He was running in 4th position at the time, and he's had a spin.
He was, so just saw the right rear wheel just tap the grass, and his former teammate there, Brenton Hobson, almost gave him a little serve. And while Hobson was checked up, Bailey Sweeney took advantage, and he gained 2 spots out of that spin from Wayne Burke. Burke has dropped all the way back in the field to 29th position. So he was in 4th, now back in 29th.
Just shows you how tightly bunched the field is, doesn't it? The fact that he lost so many positions as a result of making that error. Here is Mitchell McLeod on screen at the moment. He's currently sitting in 22nd position and battling it out with Emerson Harvey and Phil Munnelly. Gets elbowed out wide as well, Mitchell McLeod at turn 5. Oh, and more contact. Emerson Harvey's gone. Oh.
Is that upside down? It's Mitchell McLeod involved. Aaron Hindle was the car, I believe, was upside down. Yeah, it was. So, get another replay as what's happened here. This is Hindle. He comes up through, and they've already started wrecking. Just, no hope of getting through that, did Hindle. Get another view of that, because there was more to that incident there. I'm just trying to get the replay sorted. Having a few technical issues tonight. That's always good fun, isn't it? Might come back live. I don't think we're going to be able to get the replay of that, unfortunately. Lewis Paul O'Gallen still leading from Jackson Susan-Harlow and Cooper Webster. Webster's sticking with him. Jackson Susan-Harlow's dropped off a fair bit over the last couple of laps. Bailey Sweeney as well has dropped off. Justin Rougier, though, he's making moves, and he's already trying to get past Hobson. A little bit of contact between them, and Ross Rizzo will go through as well.
Aggressive there from Justin Rougier. Rizzo around the outside as they head into the Moss S's at turn number 3. So Rizzo once again finds himself side by side with another car, gets the job done on Brenton Hobson, and moves up into what will be position number 6.
Yeah, looking strong. But just hearing some cars crashing in the background as well. I'm not sure who that was involved. We've still got 22 minutes left on the clock. As we said, there is a chance for a safety car to come out as well. So that could throw a huge curveball in this race as Rougier, Rizzo, Hobson, and now Gardner and Emerson also getting involved in this one too. We need to give a big shout out to John Emerson in the 013 car, currently in 9th position. He does all our highlight videos here at Just Send It. I must say they're getting better and better each and every week. It's been awesome to watch them.
They've been absolutely fantastic, so full credit to John Emerson for putting those together. They have been absolutely sensational. Still got 21 and a half minutes remaining in this race. Checking on the progress of drivers who started a bit further back, and just as we predicted, it is Josh Rogers who has made the most spots out of anyone so far. He's now come up 32 positions. He's up to 23rd spot from 55th on the grid. He is sporting a little bit of damage to his Mercedes AMG GT, no doubt as a result of being caught up in one of those incidents that happened in the midfield, but still going very strongly at the moment and punching out some fast lap times.
But turned into a bit of a jet setter lately, has Josh Rogers. Just come back from Germany from meeting up with the guys at Porsche. And the weekend before that, he was at the BMW Pro and Sim Racers event. So turning into a bit of a jet set. I mean, he's had a pretty successful year as Josh Rogers. Won a lot more prize money than a lot of real life races have won in regards to racing this year. So who says you can't make any money from playing video games at home? Josh Rogers is proving you definitely can.
The battle continues between Ross Rizzo and Brenton Hobson. We saw Hobson getting overtaken a couple of laps ago. He'd very much like that spot back. We know that he lost it because he got elbowed wide by Ruggia. But now he just needs to exercise a bit of patience to go back on the attack and try and find his way past Ross Rizzo.
We know that Hobson does have a little bit of a thing for position number 6, so he'll want to get ahead. Yeah, we talked about it previously. We had a little bit of a laugh in qualifying as well that he was in 6th. Not far off getting back into 6th position now, so Hobson will be looking to make some moves and make some inroads.
Race Gardner's coming up onto the back of this battle pack as well. Not too far away, the number 000 car.
Doing a very, very good job at the moment is Reece Gardner. It's been probably his only appearance in Just Send It as well, because normally he's hosting a radio show in Perth. Motorsport radio show at this time in Perth, so does get to miss out on Just Send It, but he's up. Brenton Hobson, guess what position he's up to? He's in the 6th. You're going to be able to hold it around the outside? No. And this is a little bit of contact there.
Side-by-side action between Rizzo and Hobson. Oh, big sideways moment for Rizzo on the exit of the corner as he struggled to get power to the ground through the rear wheels. And that's going to open the door for Race Gardner to get his nose up the inside as well. They'll go side-by-side, heading up the hill into the technical final sequence of corners through turns 9, 10 and 11.
Yep, so Gardner now trying to get this position. Hobson now sits in 6th as we just see another car around in the background. Arm it around at turn 9. Escape back to the pit, so he's not going to take any further part in this one. This is a pretty intense battle pack now. So you've got Rizzo, Gardner, Emerson, Stewart and Owen all together. So Steve Owen at the back of this would be one of his better performances. He's found himself up a few spots and now in some very, very intense battles with Job Stewart. John Emerson is trying to get past Reece Gardner now, actually going on the grass.
A little bit wide there for Steve Owen, but what this battle has done between Rizzo and Hobson in particular is it's allowed Justin Ruggier to pull away, because they was back battling with those guys a couple of laps ago. Look at the gap that Ruggier now has, and look at this waving left and right, trying to defend, trying to attack. That's surely more than one change of racing line on a straight. That would be frowned upon in the real life racing world.
Sort of frowned upon a little bit in sim racing, but these two know each other quite well, so they'll probably both be laughing at that little bit of a manoeuvre. What it's done, it's actually brought that next little group of cars that they were almost breaking away from us. Emerson has a little bit of a lunge, a little bit of contact between he and Reece Gardner. What it did, it brought that battle pack up, but I must say, for those of you who don't know, Reece Gardner out there, Reece only has one working arm, so he's out there racing one-armed. That makes his pace even more incredible, to be able to do as much as he does one-handed.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. I was not aware of that, so he is doing a really, really good job to be battling inside the top 10, but he might be just about to lose the spot because Emerson looks down the inside. I'll tell you what, Jay, this battle pack has got trouble written all over it. You can just sense it brewing. There's going to be drama. There's going to be an incident. How much risk do these drivers take?
Yeah, I always say you can sort of sense, you can sort of feel something's going to happen when you've been around motorsport. Steve Owen gets the job done there on Job Stewart. When you've been around motorsport and also sim racing, as caution comes out, as this for a curveball, safety car has been called, you can sense something's going to happen. And I think this might help calm the field just a tiny little bit. Maybe.
So if you're a bit further back in the pack, do you gamble on coming into the pits maybe some fresh tyres or to fix up some damage?
Possibly to fix up some damage. Tyres take a long time in GT cars. Remember that basically 2 men over the line and have to do it manually that way. So it does take a fairly long time to change 4 tyres, around about 25-30 seconds. So tyres may not be a smart option unless you're already a long way back in the field. The other part with that too, it does take a fair while for the tyres to get up to temperature, so it can affect that as well. So we'll see how it plays out as the field comes up between the iRacing pace car. Luis Paulo Galán has lost all of that lead. He was starting to break out to a fairly decent margin as well, so he'll be upset about this safety car. Just cut away to try and fix the graphics. There's been a huge crash under caution.
Is that involving Jackson, Suzel and Harlow by the looks of it?
It's involved our lead 4 or 5 cars. Here it is on screen. So Jackson, Suzel and Harlow, Cooper Webster, and I believe that was... It's a lap car that's been involved there, the car behind. So 39th position. I'm 100% sure who it was. So the field's checked up. And then all of a sudden, bang, into the rear. Jackson, Suzel and Harlow went that Vodafone car. Suzel and Harlow is able to regain his spot, but the car could be a little bit damaged. So that's very, very unfortunate for Jackson, Suzel and Harlow.
And Cooper Webster as well copped a bit of a knock to the rear, so bit of a contretemps there involving a couple of our race-leading contenders behind the safety car. Not the sort of thing that you would expect. Now, keep in mind that before the safety car was deployed, Josh Rogers was about 25 seconds off the lead of the race. That margin is now going to evaporate now that we've got this field compression. And Josh Rogers, who has climbed 34 positions, to be sitting in 21st spot after starting in 55th position on the grid, has got a quick car, and he's now got the opportunity to make up some more places.
He could finish in the top 10 based on his pace at the moment. So a very, very big possibility that Josh Rogers could get a top 10 from starting basically last as the field now checks up. Good to see the guys spreading out. There's a little bit of contact between them as they catch up with the safety car, but you're always going to see a bit of contact in such huge fields like this in racing where the guys don't have spotters and things like that. And there's no real-life marshals to sort of explain what's going on or help them out. So it does make it a little bit more difficult in that aspect.
And that's why in some of the big international real-life endurance races where they have big fields of cars like the Dubai 24 Hour, they've gone away from having safety cars and they've gone to the Code 60 protocol where everybody in the field slows down to 60 kilometres an hour and the cars all maintain their margins relative to one another.
Look at this little group here. They are separated. The top 3 are separated. Sorry, top 4 have a lap car in between. No, top 3 have a lap car in between. That is the car of Glenn Morris, I believe, in the Vodafone livery. Position 39. He was the one that did make contact unintentionally with Jackson, Suzel and Harlow when they checked up behind the safety car. There have been a couple of drivers that have jumped into the lane, get a little bit of damage repaired, or possibly, as you said, some tyres. So Brendan West is in, Paul Nichols also in. So a little bit surprising that guys at the front would have done it. So I'm not surprised to see them still out there. Guys at the back, probably nothing to lose, especially if you're not feeling comfortable with the car. Might as well come in and fix it and go again.
And we can see that Lap's car now getting the opportunity to go past the safety car to get back onto the leading lap, Glenn Morris. I do like that rule because it means that when we get the race restarted, we're not going to have Lap's traffic interfering too much with the battle between the outright leaders.
Exactly right. Susan Harlow now will probably be wishing that car was still there, because he now got a little bit more of that pack behind that could come up. We saw the pace that Justin Rougier had. He could almost match Luis Paulo Galán for pace. Of course, those that do watch us here on SimSpeed TV will know Luis Paulo Galán, pretty familiar to the GT machinery. We've seen him right at the pointy end of our Sprint Series Australia. Wednesday and now Thursday night, so no stranger to running GT machinery is Luis Paulo Galán, one of the quicker drivers in Australia and New Zealand in this machinery, so he'll be looking to make sure that he maintains that record. And Ross Rizzo a 3-time winner in these cars in that sprint series. 3-time series champion, that is. So he'll be looking to try and maintain that good record, but it's going to be tough with those drivers around him to maintain that record because Gallon, Webster, and Ruggiero, for me, I think are the top 3 in regards to pace right now.
And probably Josh Rogers as well, but he doesn't have any track position at the moment because he's all the way down in 21st. But watch out for him to make up spots when we go racing once again, which we're just about to do here in the final Just Send It race for season 2019.
I won't know what to do with myself next week. Of course, it is Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah.
But,
go out and look at the Christmas lights displays in your
need
area
to
would be
get
my
up.
recommendation.
get the sim racing Christmas lights going. Just flash everyone's lights in the pit lane. That'll do.
Do we have any Christmas liveries on the cars
Oh, that's
this
a
week?
disappointment. No.
That is disappointing. I really would have thought that because this is the last race before Christmas that people could have come up with some Christmas-themed liveries.
You did have to talk about Reese Lowe's livery. I must say it does look good. That's all I'm going to say.
The
I had to
hype
talk about
project.
that.
They always turn out good liveries, but we are back underway. Green flag waves. The safety car is in pit lane. Good restart from 4th place Bailey Sweeney. He's right on the tail of Jackson, Suzel and Harlow as they head into turn number 1, and you can see them already spreading out and looking for an overtaking manoeuvres and contact. Back in the pack for John Emerson. I think he got a tap there from Steve Owen, who was battling against the position at the time, and he goes firing off the road at turn 1.
Yep, that is exactly who it was. Steve Owen and John Emerson making contact, and Owen now defending from Job Stewart. How's that for a late lunge from Job Stewart? Just shuffles him wide. Cody Birch is going to get through as well, and Brenton Hobson's in the wall too.
So Brenton Hobson, who was battling, don't back up onto the racetrack, Brenton. Gee whiz, he had the car in reverse gear. He's trying to do a 3-point turn without colliding with any other competitors. But Hobson, of course, had been involved in that battle with Ross Rizzo and Justin Ruggiero. I'm just noticing that Ross Rizzo has slips behind Reece Gardner as well. So I'm wondering if Rizzo and Hobson have had contact with one another. And there's damage to the front of Ross Rizzo's car, and that might just tell the story as we see that Reece Gardner was a little bit slow coming out of turn number 7, I think that was. And that's going to compromise his speed heading up the hill, and he will drop back a couple of spots. Job Stewart goes through, so too does Cody Bircher.
Yep, and at the front of the field, it's still very, very static. There's a big wreck back in the field. Benjamin Smith's involved. Who else is involved? David Baz as well, facing the wrong direction. Oh no! Secondary incident there, and guess who just got through it? Josh Rogers is back up in the 14th position, just behind Wayne Burke, comes back through. Remember, he was in 4th position earlier. Good recovery from him now to be back into 15th spot.
You have to say that Josh Rogers, we know that he's fast, but his ability to avoid incidents in this race has been exemplary. He has dodged so many bullets and avoided being caught up in so many crashes in this race. That's one of the big reasons that he's been able to make up so many positions.
Steve Owen, Ben McClellan, and Dylan Carroll all going at it up into the hairpin. Now, a little bit of contact there, you see. Dylan Carroll was trying to get a little bit of a push there to Ben McClellan in the Hype Project livery. I must say it does look very good with the new matte and chrome metallic features that you can have as McClellan and Carroll come together, have a little bit of contact. They continue on. This is a good little fight between these guys, but they've let Steve Owen go. And guess who's just behind them now? Josh Rogers is there.
Yep, you can see him in the background, and it won't be much longer at all. It'll be only a couple of corners, you would imagine, before he's right up battling with these two drivers and knocking on the door of what will be a top 10 position. We've got 6.5 minutes remaining, so 3 or probably 4 more laps, you would imagine. A car coming out of the pits as well, into a bit of an awkward position among our lead pack. But out in front, it's Paul O'Gowan who continues to lead the race by just over a second from Cooper Webster. And Jackson Suzel and Harlow clearly not too much damage to his car, even despite that crash that he had when the safety car came out, because he is maintaining pace with our race leaders and holding down 3rd spot.
Doing a very, very good job too with that pace. We thought he would have had a massive pace disadvantage We saw Steve Owen in the background on that shot when we were looking down the front straight. He had a huge moment coming out of the final corner. Can get a little bit greedy with that AstroTurf on the outside because there is a fair bit of grip on that AstroTurf at the final corner. If you drift it just that tiny little bit wide, you go from grip on the AstroTurf to gravel, no grip. Very, very easy to lose control. So Steve Owen found that out the hard way then. He's now back in that battle pack with those guys he was in before. It's not a 3-car battle pack anymore, it's a 4 because here comes Josh Rogers.
And Josh Rogers will make this spot up easily on the run into turn number 8. Then it's the right-hander at turn number 9. Very technical direction changes in the closing stages of the lap here at the Okayama circuit. I reckon Rogers will make up a couple of spots before we complete the next lap of racing.
Steve Owen is intent. We said at the restart that Owens is a good chance. That Rogers is a good chance of 10 or better, a top 10 finish. Right there, and the way that McClellan and Owen are battling, Rogers will be in the top 10. One weird thing about this circuit is it's such a hard track to set up for because you've got such tight technical corners, but you've got those huge long straights in the run, and then you've got this section here through turns 2 and 3 where they're a little bit more flowing corners, and then the infield section as well is a little bit more flowing, slow but flowing. Rogers gives McClellan a little bit of a push and a hurry up through the mid corner of turn 4. It's a really tough track to set a car up for, and we see in a lot of series that this track runs in. But that is the big challenge for drivers. This car setup is, have a look at that late dive there from Josh Rogers up the inside. Himself now in 11th. There's a contact between McClellan and Carroll, and McClellan around. That was a little bit naughty there from Dylan Carroll.
He left the door open, Ben McMillan, because Rogers had just got up the inside. Dylan Carroll decided to try and capitalise as well, but there wasn't quite space there. And there is one of your nominations for the biggest failed send of the evening.
Susan Harlow's found a little bit of pace in this late stage of the race. He's closing in on Cooper Webster. It is now down to only half a second. We've got 3 laps to go. It's going to be interesting here because Susan Harlow is a lot quicker. Luis Paulo Gallon is absolutely checked out, but guys 2nd and 3rd are battling. Rougier was with Bailey Sweeney, but he's dropped off. Cody Bircher also looking strong in this late phase of the race as he tries to close it on Ross Rizzo. But that's a little bit too much road there.
Cody Bircher always races better than he qualifies. Pretty much every Just Send It event that we've had, Cody Bircher has moved forward. I'm not saying that he qualifies badly, I'm just saying that he always races more strongly than he qualifies.
100%. Now, not away from this, unfortunately, because have a look at this now. Steve Owen basically being bump draft by Josh Rogers. I don't think Owen's going to make this easy for Rogers. I think he's going to try and prove that he can hold it with 3-time world champion on iRacing.
You can see the brake discs on Steve Owen's Mercedes glowing red hot as he jumped on the anchors to pull the Mercedes up to turn number 5. It is a big stop there because, so here we go. Josh Rogers up the inside. Can he make the move stick? He gives Owen a bit of a bump. Owen will try and fight.
Oh!
He gets his elbows out through the next right-hander, and he keeps Josh Rogers at bay. Steve Owen flexing his muscles here and Just Send It, and keeping the multiple simulator racing champion behind him.
It's an interesting fight. Have a look at who's behind too. Wayne Burke, we know he's got pace too, so this is going to be an intense fight. Steve Owen probably trying to fight a little bit harder than he should based on that incident we saw earlier with Emerson, but he's let Rogers go. And now Wayne Burke, who doesn't mind getting the elbows out himself, will try and get this move done on Steve Owen. This could be a very, very messy fight by the end of this battle.
I don't think that Steve Owen let Josh Rogers go. I think there was a bit of a bump and run there.
And another attempt.
Owen gives it back to him. And who capitalises? Wayne Burke. He slides past both of them on the inside at turn 4.
Good move from Wayne Burke to capitalise on that and avoid contact with both of them. But watch out. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens here. No, Owen, good job on the brakes. And Dylan Carroll's going to come through. Gives Owen a bit of a bump as well. So that's 2 bumps that Dylan Carroll's given. He gave one to McMillan and now one to Steve Owen. These guys were bumping before as well, remember. Bircher threw on Rizzo, and Rizzo made a big mistake, and Job Stewart's going to go through as well.
So Rizzo loses 2 spots at turn 9. Can he fight back? Oh, he gives a bit of a tap to Job Stewart on the exit of the final corner. Those 2 cars will now drag side by side. There's a lapped car involved in that battle as well. Here is Dylan Carroll up behind Steve Owen as they head down the main straight. Carroll looking to the inside of Owen at turn 1. Owen's run wide. Carroll up the inside. Shoves Owen out of the way.
I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Owen's got a little bit of steering damage from that too, because he got a very, very big bump. Yeah, let's see if he tries to come back here. Don't be surprised if this is the latest braking move ever. No, side's against it. I thought he might have had a little bit of a late lunge and tried make something magical happen, but we're officially on the last lap. And Lewis Paulo Gallon has been absolutely unchallenged in this race so far.
It's been a flawless performance, hasn't it? After qualifying on pole position, he's not really been seriously threatened by anyone. Cooper Webster's lap times have not been that far off, but he just hasn't been able to get into a position to seriously challenge Lewis Paulo Gallon for the race win. So out of the last corner he comes. Lewis Paulo Gallon, pole position to the race victory in the final Just Send It race of season 2019. He takes the win. Cooper Webster comes home in 2nd position. Jackson Suzel and Harlow finishing up in 3rd spot.
Good job from Bailey Sweeney as well, finishing in 4th. And Job Stewart, drag race with Ross Rizzo to the line. And Job Stewart has got it as there's contact between he and a lap car. Also, Wayne Burke has got ahead of Steve Owen and Dylan Carroll. Dylan Carroll actually has finished ahead of Steve Owen as well. There's still guys deciding to crash. There's still battles going on as they come across the line, as McClellan decides that he's not happy about the result either. But what a race that was. That was a fantastic race. A little bit unfortunate with how good Lewis Paulo Gallon was at the front, but the rest of the field, that was some intense racing. We will get a replay of that opening lap shenanigans as well at some point in the next couple of moments.
And so the award for the best postman of the night, as we predicted, it goes the way of Josh Rogers, 55th on the grid into the top 10.
Brilliant
what a
drive
performance.
From Rogers. Well done.
Yep.
Another standout too for me was Dylan Carroll as well, also made up a lot of spots. Cody Bircher as well, also made up quite a lot. Reese Gardner, as we said, he was worried he wasn't going to even make the top split. He finishes with the top 10. That's a brilliant effort. But we'll go through the results in a minute. I'm going to queue up the replay of that amazing turn, lap 1 incident. So while I do that, we do need to thank JSE Technologies, Erebus, Motorsport, Simworks, also Melbourne Performance Centre for their support, and also Digital Marketing Tribe for their support too. It's great to have all of the amazing sponsors on board that we've had throughout Just Send It over the last couple of seasons, because now into season 2. It's been an awesome series that we've had have everyone on board for. So we thank all of the supporters and sponsors in the background for being on board for Just Send It, and their support is not unappreciated at all. It's great to have all of those amazing supporters and partners on board for Just Send It, and great to have them on board again for 2020 Just Send It as well.
Some really cool prizes on offer as well, thanks to those sponsors. So we do appreciate their support. As we have another look at this contretop that unfolded on the opening lap. So it all started with the incident for Andrew Collins, but then after that, all hell broke loose, and we saw a massive pile-up with multiple cars involved.
Yep, so Jeffrey Price is one that ended up upside down. You can see there, carrying 29 spots. That's not sure who that was. Michael Healy was also involved. He had a separate incident at the hairpin. There was lots of drivers involved, and it's so hard to work out who was involved in that from my timing screen. But it was an incredible race, and well done to Lewis Paulo Gallon. Yeah, you're right. That all started from that bizarre checkup that happened in the midfield there from Andrew Collins' issue that he had early on in the race.
So we should mention as well, Jay, that Just Send It is taking a break for a couple of weeks because obviously next Tuesday night is Christmas Eve. The Tuesday night after that is New Year's Eve. Not sure about you, but my plan for next week is to be spending some quality time with my family, and for the week after, I'll probably be partying quite hard. So I think that a lot of our Just Send It competitors probably have similar plans in the works for the next 2 weeks, but we look forward to resuming early in January.
Yep, 7th of January will be our next Just Send It for week 5, and we don't know where we'll be because we don't find out until the day before, so make sure you do like the Facebook page, which is Just Send It Sim Racing, and also Just Send It.sim Racing on Instagram as well, for a little bit of banter, a little bit of fun, and memes, laughs, best paints, best sends, all different sorts of video content will come out on the channel as well over the next couple of weeks as well. So be a fair bit going on, of course, on SimSpeed as well, our main broadcast channel. Plenty going on over the Christmas break. We've been broadcasting the Porsche Pro Series qualifiers. It was very, very controversial on Saturday night at the Nürburgring. That returns on Saturday night, and we'll run right through it. Of course, the iRacing V8 series on Monday nights will continue throughout the summer break as well. Most of our series having a bit of a break over Christmas, and I'm looking forward to having a break as well. But what a night of racing that was, and another fun event, and another new winner for Just Send It.
Indeed, well done to Louis Paul O'Gowan, who joins the Just Send It Winners Club. So I think that just about wraps us up. Jay, anything else that you'd like to add before we close off?
We are done. We do need to thank once again all the guys behind the scenes at Just Send It. So Simon Black from Oceanic Sim Racing for helping run the servers and the different format tonight to try and work something out a little bit different. Also a big thanks to Reese and Trent behind the scenes as well for their hard work with this series. It's tough to run a series in the background, and after running a couple myself, I know how much work goes in, and these guys go above and beyond. So well done, guys, on a fantastic effort. Thanks to all the supporters and sponsors for their help as well. Been a fantastic year, and we're looking forward to coming back in 2020, but we'll be live tomorrow on the iRacing Esports Network for the next round of Sprint Series Australia, on Friday night for the final round of AOSC, and Saturday night, as we said, for the Porsche qualifiers. And if you love Bathurst racing in the V8, Monday night on the iRacing Esports Network, the first race in the new ZB Commodore and Ford Mustang on iRacing. Make sure you do tune in Monday night for Bathurst sprint race. I think it's a 70-minute race, so it should be very, very good fun. So make sure you do tune in on Monday night. But thanks to you for jumping in again this season too, Lockie. It's been great to have you on board, and I'm looking forward to coming back in January.
So am I. I'm very much looking forward to the resumption of play early in 2020. Thanks, as always, for having me, Jay. And on behalf of the entire team at Just Send It and SimSpeed TV, this is Lockie Mansell signing off. I'm off to go and just send some Christmas cards. See you in 2020. Bye for now.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him. Oh, my God. Oh, big crash. Oh, my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?